Picture this. You come home after a long day, whether from work, school, or endless errands, checking off tasks from a never-ending to-do list. You finally collapse onto your couch, ready to rest.
I am tired.
Yet, instead of finding peace, your mind is anything but quiet. Thoughts race, unfinished projects, career pressures, future anxieties, and that nagging voice telling you to be more successful, more accomplished, more visible. You pick up your phone and scroll past carefully curated Instagram posts of others' seemingly perfect lives, and suddenly, everything about your own feels dull and inadequate. It's a paradox, isn't it? In a world teeming with opportunity, convenience, and endless ways to connect, why do so many of us feel so empty?
Nothing.
This isn't just a rhetorical question. Our modern existence, so full on the surface, feels strangely hollow underneath. Beneath our high-tech, hyper-connected world lies a pervasive sense of meaninglessness. We live in an age of unparalleled advancement and abundance. Yet, these same innovations that promised happiness seem to have deepened our anxiety and disconnection. It's a problem that cuts across generations. You might be a college student overwhelmed by deadlines or a professional racing up the career ladder. The haunting sense that something essential is missing remains universal. We're not lazy or ungrateful. Far from it. We're caught in a storm of cultural, social, and psychological shifts that would leave our ancestors stunned. Even our moments of relaxation feel invaded by an invisible checklist. Am I using my time efficiently? Shouldn't I be doing something more valuable? We've become so uneasy with stillness that rest itself feels like an act of rebellion. But there's hope.
Nice.
Understanding the roots of our emptiness is the first step toward transcending it. In this video, we're going to explore why life feels so devoid of meaning and what we can do about it. We'll dive into history, philosophy, and our cultural obsession with productivity. Most importantly, we'll discuss actionable steps you can take to reclaim your sense of purpose. If you're longing for deeper connections and a life that feels truly meaningful, stay with me. Now that we've identified this paradox, how modern life, despite all its advancements, feels so empty, let's zoom out. To understand our collective crisis, we must explore whether this feeling is unique to our generation or part of something bigger. Could it be that history itself offers clues about our current sense of disorientation? Enter historians William Strauss and Neil Howe with their compelling theory outlined in The Fourth Turning. They suggest that history doesn't just move forward in a linear fashion, but unfolds in cycles, much like the changing of seasons. Each cycle, or saeculum, spans about 80 to 100 years, with 4 distinct phases: a period of growth and stability, an unraveling, a crisis, and finally, a rebirth. If this theory is accurate, we're currently in the midst of a crisis phase, a time marked by societal upheaval, economic turmoil, and widespread distrust of institutions. Think about it. The last great crisis was World War II, and before that, the Civil War and the American Revolution. Each crisis reshaped society, clearing the old to make way for the new. Yet what makes our current era particularly dangerous is the lack of cultural memory. Most of the people who lived through World War II, who experienced its existential lessons firsthand, are no longer with us. We're left to navigate our own upheaval without the guidance of those who truly understand the gravity of societal collapse. And then there's philosopher Byung-Chul Han's analysis in The Disappearance of Ritual. Han argues that rituals, once central to human experience, have been eroded in our hyper-efficient society. These rituals marked the passing of time, adding sacredness to the everyday. Take the Sabbath, for instance, a day once reserved for rest and reflection. Today, Sundays are consumed by errands or Netflix binges, stripped of any spiritual or communal significance. Without rituals, our lives feel like an endless stream of undifferentiated days. Time flattens, losing its sacred pauses. We're left spiritually unmoored, drifting in a sea of constant motion, always searching but never finding. Rituals once offered meaning, structure, and a sense of belonging. But now, we wander aimlessly, unanchored. Consider Friedrich Nietzsche's grim prophecy: God is dead. He wasn't celebrating atheism. He was warning of a world where transcendent meaning had been lost, where nihilism, the belief that life is meaningless, reigned. Søren Kierkegaard, often considered the father of existentialism, suggested that we must take leaps of faith to create purpose in an absurd world. But in today's secular, disenchanted age, how can we make those leaps when rituals and shared meanings have vanished? We need to reclaim the power of ritual, even if we must reinvent it. This doesn't mean adopting outdated traditions, but creating new ones that infuse life with rhythm and significance. Maybe it's a weekly family dinner where everyone disconnects from screens, or a tech-free Sunday dedicated to self-care and nature walks. Perhaps you start the day with a moment of meditation or set a seasonal tradition, like a summer solstice hike. The goal is to make time feel purposeful again, to mark the passage of our days with meaning. These rituals may seem small, but they can transform our experience of time and reconnect us to something larger than ourselves. And with that sense of sacred structure, the chaos of modern life starts to feel a bit more manageable. If the erosion of rituals leaves us spiritually adrift, the relentless culture of busyness traps us in a state of perpetual motion. It's not just that we lack meaningful pauses, we've become actively uncomfortable with the idea of rest. Imagine giving yourself a guilt-free day off. No work, no self-improvement projects. You might start with optimism, only to be haunted by that familiar anxiety. Shouldn't I be doing something productive? This guilt is deeply ingrained. Capitalism has conditioned us to equate our worth with our output. Productivity isn't just a way to make a living, it's a measure of self-worth. We've internalized this belief so completely that rest feels like failure. Social media only fuels the fire, showcasing hustle culture and glorifying non-stop work. Our feeds are filled with motivational quotes that praise grinding harder, as if taking a break is some moral shortcoming. It's no wonder we feel anxious when we're not ticking off tasks. This mindset is exhausting and unsustainable. The discomfort with rest isn't only cultural, it's also psychological. Human beings are wired to feel useful. In ancient tribes, everyone had a role. Whether hunting, gathering, or protecting the community, feeling useful was essential for survival. This primal need has been co-opted in the modern age, making us feel we must always be contributing.
Cool.
Yet capitalism has distorted this into an endless treadmill. Our evolutionary desire to be valuable members of a group has been weaponized to keep us working, even to our detriment. The irony? True productivity comes from balance, not burnout. Our ancestors rested not because they were lazy, but because it was necessary for survival. We've lost that wisdom. And then there's technology. If capitalism set the stage for our work-obsessed culture, technology took a sledgehammer to any boundaries that remained. Remember when work ended when you left the office? Now smartphones keep us tethered 24/7. Work emails creep into our evenings, and our bedrooms double as home offices. We're always on, and our nervous systems are paying the price. This constant connectivity creates a psychological toll. Even when we try to rest, we don't really relax. Our minds are always bracing for the next notification, the next task. We live in a perpetual state of low-grade anxiety, our brains stuck in overdrive. So, how do we break free? First, establish strict boundaries around your work hours. If you work from home, designate a clear off time and stick to it. Create physical and mental separation. When the clock strikes, turn off work notifications and switch gears. Next, practice digital detoxes. Designate tech-free zones like your bedroom, or commit to tech-free mornings and evenings. Use this time for activities that genuinely nourish you. Read a book, cook a meal, or take a walk without headphones. And perhaps most importantly, learn to celebrate rest. See it not as a guilty pleasure, but as a fundamental human need. Your worth isn't tied to your productivity. Reframing rest as essential self-care, not laziness, is a revolutionary act in today's world. By reclaiming our time and energy, we can begin to heal from the culture of busyness. But just when we think we've conquered busyness, another specter haunts us: our complex relationship with technology. If our work culture has stolen our rest, technology has robbed us of genuine connection. On paper, technology has made us more connected than ever. We can FaceTime with someone across the globe or keep up with friends' lives through social media. But as psychologist Sherry Turkle warns in Alone Together, these digital interactions often feel shallow, offering the illusion of connection without the demands of real intimacy. Think about your own life. How often have notifications interrupted a meaningful moment? Maybe you're at dinner with friends, sharing a laugh, when your phone buzzes. You check a work email or scroll through TikTok, and suddenly the magic of the moment is gone. Turkle calls this continuous partial attention, a state where we're never fully present. We drift between digital and physical worlds, never fully anchored in either. The psychological effects are profound. When our attention is fragmented, our relationships suffer. We feel more anxious, less satisfied, and increasingly isolated. Our constant connection ironically leaves us lonelier, yearning for deeper bonds that screens cannot satisfy. How do we break free from this digital trap? Enter digital minimalism, a concept championed by Cal Newport. The idea is to use technology deliberately, not compulsively. Start with tech-free mornings or evenings. Use this time to journal, meditate, or enjoy a meal undisturbed. Each time you reach for your device, ask yourself, is this necessary, or am I just escaping? Reframe technology as a tool, not a master. Prioritize face-to-face connections. Plan real-life meetups instead of settling for group texts. Experience the irreplaceable joy of hearing someone's laugh in person or sharing a heartfelt conversation without distractions. These moments bring a richness that digital interactions simply can't match.
Wow.
But technology's impact goes deeper. It's even changing how we communicate. Welcome to the age of zombie communication, where we send robotic, lifeless emails that drain our social energy. Hope this finds you well. Per our last discussion, our conversations have become desensitized, making real interactions feel taxing. To combat this, automate what you can. Use AI tools for repetitive tasks, but save your emotional energy for meaningful exchanges. Write heartfelt letters or make intentional phone calls. Rediscover the beauty of thoughtful, expressive language. These small acts can bring humanity back into our conversations and make our relationships more fulfilling. As we continue, we'll explore how our evolutionary past complicates our present social anxieties and what that means for living a more meaningful life. Our tech-driven world complicates human connection, but our primal instincts add yet another layer to our modern struggles. Our ancient brains aren't wired for today's enormous, anonymous societies, creating what's known as an evolutionary mismatch. Why our brains are mismatched. Let's travel back to our ancestral roots. Imagine small tribes where survival depended on tight community bonds. Social rejection wasn't just embarrassing, it was life-threatening. If you were ostracized, your chances of survival plummeted. Fast forward to today, and our brains still perceive social embarrassment as catastrophic. Public speaking, for instance, triggers the same fight-or-flight response as facing a predator. Your brain doesn't know the difference. This fear isn't just theoretical. Evolutionary psychology explains that social anxiety stems from our primal need to belong. Our ancestors needed the tribe to survive, so our brains evolved to view every social misstep as a potential threat. Even though a failed joke at a party won't banish you to the wilderness, your body reacts as if it could. This outdated programming exacerbates our modern anxieties. And then there's trauma. Maybe you were bullied or ridiculed, and those experiences created deep imprints on your psyche. One day you feel socially confident, the next you're consumed by self-doubt. Your brain is hypervigilant, scanning for danger based on past wounds. I still recall a moment from middle school when a joke I told fell painfully flat. The laughter that followed wasn't kind. Even years later, echoes of that embarrassment resurface in social settings. It's astonishing how long these small traumas can linger, coloring our interactions. How do we work through this ingrained anxiety? Start with awareness. Next time you feel a surge of nervousness, observe it. What triggered it? A certain person? A specific scenario? Tracking these patterns can be eye-opening. Then practice acceptance. Acknowledge that your anxiety is your brain trying to protect you. But just because you feel threatened doesn't mean you are. The more you accept this, the less power it has. Finally, embrace gradual exposure. Start with small social interactions and work your way up. Over time, your brain will learn that socializing is safe. Healing takes time. Vulnerability, though scary, is a sign of strength. By understanding our evolutionary history and working through our fears, we can navigate today's social landscape with more compassion for ourselves and others. We've journeyed through the complexities of modern emptiness, the cyclical nature of history, the loss of rituals, our culture's obsession with productivity, the alienation wrought by technology, and our evolutionary predisposition to social anxiety. These forces are profound, but recognizing them is the first step to healing. The path forward isn't about radical change, but small, meaningful shifts. Start simple, create new rituals, set boundaries around work, practice digital minimalism, and slowly confront social fears. These actions can reconnect us to what matters and make our lives feel richer. The emptiness we feel might be a call to live differently, more intentionally. We have the power to reshape our lives, starting with the choices we make today. What's one step you'll take to combat the emptiness? Call a friend, plan a new ritual, or set a tech-free hour.
Sure, why not?
Anyway, these choices and steps together are going to run you about 1 subscribe, so I'll just flip the screen real quick for you. Struggling with constant worry about things you can't change? Want to know how to stop worrying? You won't want to miss practical steps to let go of what you can't control and find true peace. Click here and I will see you there.